Hello, my name is Luke Stringer. Today we're going to be talking about language development in children and how that affects you as a parent. And this is a very important concept for us to nail down as parents because how our children interact with the world is primarily through the concept of language, which is just an interaction between symbols and spoken utterances and expressions that we apply meaning to. And you, as a parent, have to help teach them and foster this level of growth in this so that they may be well prepared in the future of what the expectations for that language, particular language looks like, right? And so let me get my screen sharing. All right. The- this is a very important book. I just want to start off showing this. It's called Growth of Logical Thinking. This was the framework that we're going to be working through today. It was written in 1958 by two guys, Piaget and Helder are the two psychologists that wrote this. And so here we see um, that today's topic is going to be on language development in children, as we have talked about. And this is Jean Piaget. This is the guy that we were just talking about. And in that book that I was just showing you, he presented this structure of ideas that say, hey, because before this uh, groundbreaking article in 1958 came out, or book really, people would have thought of children and how they thought and functioned, basically as just mini adults. So they would have been, um, that's let's say, okay, why can my child not think the way I think? Well, it's just because they're immature, just because whatever they wanted to say, it wasn't because they were cognitively different. And so in this paper, this man, Jean Piaget, introduces something he called the stages of cognitive development. And ultimately, what this says is that uh, there are different stages of life in which people of different ages are going to think and function and learn differently. And that's very important for us to remember as we are bringing up children, right? And so here are what those four stages that he proposed are. So from the ages of birth to the age of 2 is called the sensory motor stage. And we'll talk about all these in more depth and kind of how to teach based on the stage as we go on in the lesson, right? The second one is the pre-operational stage. This is ages 2 to 7. The next one is our concrete operational stage, stages 7 to 11. And then we have our formal operational stage, which is 12 and 12 to death, however you want to say it. This is where a child becomes a young adult cognitively and starts to behave and think. Now they're not fully developed, but cognitively they're learning the same way that we as adults would. It's the same way we had to learn and grow in this, right? And so what are the big ones for language? Which ones do I need to focus on teaching in? Which ones do I need to focus? Okay, well they're all very big, but the development in them looks very different in each child, and so the teaching is going to look a little different in each child, right? So for the first one, for the sensory motor stage, this is birth at 2. This is the brain of a baby, and this is from Corman and Escalona, 1969. Talk about the sponge that is the human brain from the ages of 0 to 2, and so your baby, when they're from ages 0 to 2, I want you to think of them less as thinking and more as an observing. It's a very observing brain, but they observe everything. They're seeing everything. They are listening to everything. They're trying to replicate everything. That's the gooing and the guying and the grabbing. They're trying to replicate you. They're trying to learn different ways of language, right? They're trying to even figure out what sounds they need to keep and what sounds they don't need to keep. And that gets us to our first point about the sounds like muscles. So sounds, when you're born, you have complete control over all your muscles, right? Well, over time, when you don't use some of them, they just don't. They go kind of into stasis, like that they aren't going to be activated. You have to reteach them how to activate, well, just because they're not used. And it's the same way with language and with babies, right? So when a baby is born, they have every capacity to make every single sound in the human language. So I would think in human languages. So I would think in English, it's easy to say the and th. All right, well, that's not common in many languages across the world, but it's easy for kids who learn English. Well, that's because it was originally there when they were born. In Japan, they're a tonal system language. So this and this could mean uh, alligator and Fortnite in differences. It's based on the tone, is based on is what the word means, right? And so that's very foreign to us because we don't use it, but the Japanese young children have no issue with that because everything starts off in their brain. So they have all the um, they have all the sounds and functions in their brain at now, but ultimately will lose them if they're not used. And this helps to develop something called the native tongue. This helps to develop the reason that I can speak English with perfect Englishness, all right, just for lack of better terms, is because I had everything available, and as I was growing up, I picked the ones I heard my parents and people around me using in order to better make my language with them, right? That's all humans do that. It's awesome. It's miraculous. I think I spelled permanence wrong in this next one. Totally my fault. Um, and so in this, the next one, the big factor of how is a baby learning, how can I teach them, is something called object permanence. So in this, your baby is not only doing all this and gooing and gone, they're starting to learn that these things have similarly connections. There are correlations to, hey, when dad, and they can't think this obviously, but they're trying to figure this out. Hey, when dad says this, this is what he means, right? It's when my dad's gone, he's not gone forever. Though all his words still matter, what I'm saying still matters. He'll come back. He's just not here right now. And this is a very important for how to parent baby language. The best way to parent baby language is to affirm those object permanences. Right, so here's what they know of language. It's all just a bunch of mumbling. So what they're hearing is the same thing we hear from them whenever they are talking. It's right? What we need to focus on teaching them during this time is these things mean something. So just as the baby in this picture doing, if the baby's doing this, we also need to do this. We show them that, hey, this means something. You can do babbling. If your baby's babbling, you can babble back to them. That encourages communication. That will help your child to learn how to speak more and quicker. It will encourage, hey, this is what we do. They're not just moving their mouth, they're trying to get something across to one another. And so the brain of a baby is amazing, and to in feeding into what that growth is going to be important. And now it's very important also to use your regular language. Use very simple phrases with them that they can learn to emulate. So yes, no, mom, dad, all these things are very important. Hammer those. Say it to them 1,000 times a day so that they can, because of, remember, they're working on object permanence, so they can make that, and that can be a permanent object in their mind of dad is that guy, mom is that lady, whatever that looks like. Apple is that fruit. I love apple. Like, it's just that is how we encourage and foster language in within babies. And then we get the toddlers talk, and this is the pre-operational stages, ages 2 to 7. And Raven and Salzer talk about how this is a very formative time in setting up the next two, especially stages of language concerning language. The next two stages of development concerning language, right? And so the toddler talk, they are starting to understand more of what language use is. They're starting to understand that languages are really just symbols that mean things. So when I say hi, that word hi is a symbol for a greeting. What I'm trying to say is, hey, come talk to me, or I want to talk to you, I want to get to know you, or a politeness. There's a million different things it could mean, but it is a symbol. And so what they're trying to do is figure out how those all apply for them. This is very, uh, at this time, and this isn't a bad thing, it's just kids. It's very self-centered. And so they are trying to figure out, okay, how do I take all this that is I'm experiencing in the world and apply it to my life, right? So how do we help them in this time? We encourage them to think about these words. So this looks like reading books. This looks like telling stories at night. This looks like this is when correcting language will start. So they're going to start to understand that, hey, these stories mom and dad are telling me, and these books that I'm getting read to, and when I'm starting to go to school, and my teachers are telling me certain things. I take all this information, and then I have to regurgitate it in order to accomplish communication. That's what they're learning at this time. All that they are not worried about the other side of that conversation. They're worried about their part of it. So they will think and say and do anything they want to. They're just trying to get that accomplished. So as a parent, you must, as you're fostering this, I mean, you always want to foster your children to talk. Make sure they know the guidelines it's supposed to be within. And so if they have heard some foul language on YouTube or something and they emulate that, man, they're just emulating it. They don't know what that means. So telling them, hey, that we're not supposed to say that because of X, Y, and Z, that's also very important in this time. Preteen Perspectives from DeVries 1997. This is the concrete operational stage. DeVries kind of talks about logic within language talk, right? So in this time, the from 7 to 11, logic is introduced into language. And this looks like um, conversations. Conversations as a concept. Hey, the reason we're talking is so that we can converse. All right, what is conversing? Why do I need to talk? Oh, it's so that we can communicate. All right, so it's so that I can express one idea to another. That is where the logic is introduced into this time, and later more gets added onto it in order to further develop this in the next developmental stage. But right now we're worried about uh, uh, fostering logic within conversation. So, how do we parent preteen language? Well, we foster logic within conversations. Hey, when your kid, you'll hear why 6,000 times during this. Answer it. What they're trying to and now I get that that's annoying as it I get it, but what they're trying to accomplish is, hey, I see these things happening. I know that if I ask them something, they'll tell me why it's happening. They're applying logic through language. So they're going to ask you, why, man, do your absolute best to answer, hey, this is why we do this. We do this because of X, Y, and Z. This isn't just for when you're helping your dad or when they're helping you or somebody else fix a car. This isn't just for like, why is grass green, right? This is also, man, why do I feel these emotions? Man, why am I thinking these things? Why is this bad? All of these are going to be very, very important for you as the parent to communicate through and explain. And notice, no, it's not disrespect. Man, they're just trying to learn it. So, man, just be encouraging and patient with them. And I'll pray for you in that. That's gonna be good, but it's gonna be hard. We have adult utterances. This is Kuhn, 1979. This is formal operational stage ages 12 and through death, 12 and up. This is where we apply reason to logic. This is X is Y because of, or X becomes Y because, right? And so this would look like, all right, we have conversation to communicate. Well, that must mean communication holds certain values in our life. So we have the hypotheticals come around in this time, philosophical things come around this time, ethical issues come around this time. We're starting to think less egocentric and more exocentric, right? So how do we parent teenager language? Man, we keep the guidelines that we have given them as they were younger. We keep those and we still continue to, hey, speak within these guidelines, but speak about anything you need to. Ask about anything you need to. If you're having to have thoughts about man, why are these people doing this? It must be because of this. That's really, really good. That's a great cognitive reasoning ability. Um, Continue to instruct them. It's this one is more of a guideline. Says they ought to be good in how they talk. It's what they're saying. We need to foster the correct attitudes and opinions towards their thoughts, right? Do disabilities affect language learning? 100%. But it's just as the different stages affect language learning. how we as parents are supposed to react to this, how we as parents, is we have to come to their level and we have to understand what they're doing and what they're thinking and teach based on that. So let's say you have um, ADHD. Your kid's not going to want to, or your kid has ADHD, your kid's not want to going to sit down and talk for 30 minutes um, about this particular thing that they did wrong. Man, just explain it to them and move on. If you all you got is 30 seconds, man, just use the 30 seconds, right? If you have a kid that has dyslexia, you're gonna have to sit down and help them work through that, right? And so it's the same as any disability. And so even um, I would say such thing if you had like severe autism that led to muteness. All right, well, don't expect your child to be giving lectures by the time they're 12, right? Man, level with them. Man, talk as much as they want to talk. Communicate how they want to communicate. If they would rather communicate through a sign language, that's perfectly fine. If they would rather communicate through noises, man, communicate to them with noises. Man, level with them. It's all about finding the uh, finding what level they're on so that you can teach them, right? That's why peer learning is so important. And not that you are peers with them, you are their parent, but within language, it's good to be kind of peering. And so parenting through these stages is hard, but it's very good and useful and beneficial to your children, to their success in the future. Adapting to these is very crucial. We were just talking about getting on this and adjust based on child, getting on the level. Man, get on their level so that you can communicate with them. And they're not going to listen to you if you operate from an egocentric viewpoint, because they're in an egocentric viewpoint. That's the stage of development they're in. But if you're in an exocentric and are looking in their shoes, then you can teach them how to do that for others. And that's what they need from you during this time, right? And then you adjust based on child. Your first child may be infinitely different than your second child when it comes to language learning. Well, you can't just do what you did with the first for the second because it's not going to work. They're different children. So you have to adjust based on the child. And so now, man, I open the floor to any questions. You can type them down in the comments below. Just let me know. And here are my resources. I hope to talk to all of you soon. And it has been hold on. I'm sorry. Can I just go? Oh, show meeting. It has been a pleasure. Please go away. What is happening? Okay, I got it. Bye.